So, when it comes to this concept of really getting stuck in this place of indecision, where you can't decide if you want to go with option A or B, maybe your brain isn't naturally even able to conceptualize what an option C could look like. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the podcast. It is officially the 2-week countdown until I'll be announcing something new and exciting that we're going to be starting with this whole podcast community here. I'm really excited. So make sure you are subscribed so that when those updates come out, you are the first to know. Now, in 2 weeks, we will also be starting a new series that's going to be a pretty vulnerable one for me, but I also think it's going to be a series that you might also be able to relate to. So look forward for that as well. But with these few episodes, before we get all of that started, I thought I would circle back on some of the topics that have been suggested by listeners. And people have asked specifically that I cover a few things. One of those topics is one that comes up a lot for people, and that is actually related to a series I did previously, but it still continues to come up. So I wanted to cover it in a little bit of a different way today. And that topic is the topic of decision making. Now, first, I want to say I think this makes sense that it keeps coming up because truthfully, the amount of time and energy that most people spend on decision making is legitimately just absurd. It's completely absurd. Like, if we were to actually add up all of the minutes that we are using to think about making a decision, you would be astonished if you knew how much time you're actually spending thinking about it. But I'm saying that from a place of love and of understanding because I am also someone who struggles with indecision at times. So I am right there with you. So let's attack this one. Let's make sure that we are coming at this decision-making process with a fresh mind and a fresh perspective and a better understanding of what our brains are doing when we're getting on this indecision wheel. And I really do think the way that we're going to attack it today is going to be something that's helpful because I'm not only going to talk about indecision, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about career shifts. And I just know so many people right now that are kind of on the fence when it comes to jobs. So I think these two topics really go hand in hand in terms of what's going on in society right now, and also just something that a lot of us struggle with. So today we are going to be talking about that. Limbo land, I like to call it. And the reason why I like to call it the limbo land of indecision is because if you have ever actually tried to visualize what the idea of being in limbo looks like, it's kind of funny, right? If you think about if you've ever played the game of limbo, you've got this bar or pole and you're trying to shimmy underneath it. You're in that awkward position under the pole where your body is like strained, trying to do a back bend but not fall over, but yet still moving forward. It is crazy awkward and difficult. And the reason why I think this phrase limbo is so helpful here is because that is exactly what happens when we get stuck in indecision. We are stuck in this in between where we're trying to be in this awkward position that currently doesn't feel comfortable. We're trying to move forward, but not fall over in the process and make our life fall apart. And it's so uncomfortable. It's physically hard, it's mentally taxing. And truthfully, I think if people could see how much energy is going into thinking about your decisions, you would really be shocked because it is actually probably exhausting you, just like it would be to be stuck under a limbo pole for an extended period of time. And all of that brain energy you have is absolute magic. And you have to protect it. We have to protect that brain energy that we have. So let's break it down. Typically, when someone is struggling with indecision, they're on the fence, so to speak, with two options. Usually, they're looking at two options, like I should maybe go down this road or this road, or, which option A or B is going to be the right option for me. And that is honestly our first battle to tackle Because the problem is we are looking at it as there being two options, A or B, when in reality, that's not how life works. That's simply just a mechanism that our brain is using to simplify the equation and break it down into two options because that's efficient and that's easy to work with. But it's not the most helpful for us. That's just this mechanism in our brain trying to simplify it for us. So in reality, you've got options A, B, you probably even got C, D, E, F, G. You have probably got a lot more options that you're not even touching because your brain is trying to be efficient and simplify things. But you might be leaving a lot on the table. There might be a lot of scenarios you haven't even considered or imagined because your brain just isn't going down that route. But if you think of how life typically plays out, how many times have you found yourself actually in a reality that looks like A or B? Probably not often. What actually unfolds in life is usually some other scenario that you didn't even imagine. And so it might be worth spending the time and energy to help create some new neural pathways, some new thought processes for our brain so that we can actually look at all the options that are available to us, not just the options that our brain is making available right in this moment. So, like I said, I kind of wanted to tackle this from the perspective of your career or your job. And the reason why is a couple reasons, honestly. One is because that does often come up. It's coming up a lot right now, like I said, because of what's going on in the world. A lot of people have either lost their jobs or they've been put in a situation where they really need to make a decision about whether or not they want to keep their current position or maybe take a package to leave, or if they think something's going to happen to my company, I really should get out before it gets bad. There's lots of people that are in that limbo land right now. And this used to be an area I actually focused on with my coaching. I previously had a group called Pivot in Private where I created this small group of people that were interested in changing careers but didn't want to be out yet with that information for obvious reasons. They didn't want to compromise their current job while they were exploring other options. And so I worked with these individuals, kind of created a little community for them, and worked with some of them individually to help them decide what they wanted to do next and kind of brainstorm in a safe place, in a safe space where we could talk about all the options that were available to them. And so, honestly, for me, this feels like a great fit because this used to be an area that I really focused a lot of time on. So, when it comes to this concept of thinking about your career, and really getting stuck in this place of indecision where you can't decide if you want to go with option A or B. Maybe your brain isn't naturally even able to conceptualize what an option C could look like. And that is the truth. Sometimes our brains get into these patterns, especially if you've been in a career for a very long time, where you can't even comprehend what a different option would look like. And so I think it is really helpful to use different tools to help us get there. And one tool I want to talk about today is something that I know can be a little bit controversial, but I do think for this exercise it can be really helpful. And we are not going to go down the rabbit hole of whether or not it's ethical today. We're just going to talk about this as a tool, and that is ChatGPT. Now, one of the things that I think can be really helpful if you're using ChatGPT in a way where you are trying to explore different options is you can really just tell it everything that you're interested in, the things you're not interested in. And it can propose options that maybe you didn't even think of. So if you are someone that's on the fence in your career right now, try putting something in ChatGPT like, I'm currently in such and such role, and I'm considering changing career paths. But I really enjoy dot dot dot, fill in whatever you like to spend your time doing, whether that's in your free time or even in your career. Tell it what you don't like to do, things that you really hate doing. Tell it about what your goals are, what your values are when it comes to your career. Is it more important for you that you're able to move up in a company, or are you someone who really just wants to get in and out so you can enjoy your time out of work and not think about work? Tell it maybe some things that you're interested in doing when it comes to your career in terms of maybe there's certain skills that you would like to gain in your next job. Put it all in there for ChatGPT and ask it what it would recommend in terms of career options. And I'm telling you, it can be really, really cool to see what pops up. But it doesn't stop there. It will probably give you a variety of really cool options you can explore. The truth is, though, a lot of people think you've got a job, and then you've got your life outside of your job. But maybe at this point in your life, you are up to shake it up for a little bit, mix it up a little bit. And one of the things that I think a lot of people have found helpful is kind of modge podging a couple different things together to really create a fulfilling picture. And that's not something that our brain can really do very easily if it hasn't seen it done before. So I do want to propose some options C, D, E, and F for you today if this is something maybe that you're considering or just wondering what that could look like. And here's the thing. In this day and age, people have lots of income sources, and I am a huge proponent of diversifying your income sources. So, yes, you could find a career that checks one of the boxes for you in terms of your values and things like that. But maybe you also have another supplemental job that you do that also just checks a box where it's something that you really enjoy doing, but you can also make a little bit of money at it too. You can modge podge all these different things together. And what I really want to drive home here is that when we are getting stuck in this area of limbo with A and B, usually what we're trying to figure out is which option is better. And that's where we get a little stuck. We get stuck in this idea that there is truly a option that is better than the other. But here's the thing. The universe doesn't really roll like that. There isn't actually just generically a better job option or a better decision, right? What it breaks down to is every option you're going to pick is going to have pros and cons. It's going to have days that you don't really like it and days that you absolutely love it. But when it comes down to it, it's what's important to you. Where do your values lie? You could have one option, say it's a job option, that has a lot of pros in areas that maybe are of not high importance to you. That counts, right? And when I say importance to you, that's for your personal values, not necessarily what you think you should do or what society is telling you is the right option to go down. And that's really important to differentiate. Maybe you've got another career option where it has a lot of cons, but those cons are things that aren't that deep for you. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't stress you out. It might stress somebody else out, but it doesn't stress you out. So maybe those few pros that are in that job are really important to you. So maybe to someone else, that job looks like a worse option, but for you, it could be a better fit. These are all things that come into play that really should be considered, but might not be if you're stuck in limbo between A or B, really just trying to figure out, but what is the better path? What is the better path for everyone in the world? That's not what you want. What you want to find is the best path for you that aligns with your values. And that can honestly be a little bit tricky, especially if you haven't prioritized your own values in the past. And when it comes to careers, I think it's really easy to fall back into our upbringing and how we were raised to think of a career. And once you can kind of break out of that box, I think it can be so helpful to see there are a lot of different ways that your career can work. And I know a lot of you are probably listening to this thinking, oh my gosh, she wants me to have like 15 jobs and da 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 da. Not necessarily. But I will tell you, in this day and age, we've got a lot of people have careers, and then you've got time that you're like doom scrolling or admiring someone else's fancy life that you're only really seeing half of, or binge watching TV shows. And when I talk to people, they're like, but I'm so tired when I'm done with work. And here's the thing I want you to remember. Have you ever experienced in your life a time when you made time for something that maybe you didn't have a lot of time to spare at that season of life, but you went for it anyway? Or you dedicated time to that activity anyway? And I can guarantee you probably had a lot of energy when you did that thing. It could be even something simple like maybe it was a video game that you were trying to like get to this final level on, or some art project you were trying to finish up. When you were done doing whatever was taking most of your time and you wanted to get to that, you probably had a surge of energy because that thing was exciting you. It was fulfilling you. It was getting you pumped. So, if we are just going to go off of our energy level, we're going to leave a whole lot of stuff on the table because that can be kind of confusing because you might think I'm tired, but what it might actually mean is you're not fulfilled. Sit with that for a second. Sometimes when we are feeling tired or low energy, it's because we are actually not fulfilled. We're not doing things that are passionate to us. Instead, we're putting most of our time into things that are sucking our energy emotionally, physically, mentally, all of those things. So, if we take away the energy aspect, which can kind of sway us, and just look at the things that are important to us, the things that really do give us life, and see if we can piecemeal together maybe a decision that feels like it aligns better with who we are, but maybe we haven't seen it fully play out before. And that's okay. That's where we get into the space where we get to create new neural pathways. I've even tried putting into ChatGPT, show me someone who is in my age range, lives in a similar area that I do, and has this career that I don't really know what it looks like yet. But I type in all those specifics and I tell it to give me an example of some of these individuals. It's really, really cool to see what pops out. But what that does for your brain is it starts to connect all of these dots and create a new neural pathway of what things could look like for you if that hasn't been something that you've seen around you previously. So, ChatGPT, it can be a super cool tool for this. If you're having trouble moving out of that whole A or B option and really exploring more options. Now, of course, I kind of talked about this in the context today of career changes, but you can use this for anything. If you are stuck in indecision between option A or B and you can't even figure out what option C, D, or E could look like, use a tool like ChatGPT to try and figure out some other alternate options that you haven't considered yet. Or talk to people around you that you know and trust. Maybe some people that inspire you. Talk to them about some options too. Because there are so many options that we leave on the table because we don't ever even consider them. And I want more for you. I want you to feel like your brain has the freedom to explore all of the options that are out there for you because there are so many and so many that might align with you better than the options that you've chosen currently. So I'm really excited we were able to cover this today. Next week is going to be an interesting one. One of the questions that came back when I had asked for suggestions in the past was a question around some eating habits. And if that's something that interests you, I would definitely encourage you to tune in next week because we are going to be covering that, maybe in a way that you haven't heard it addressed before. So make sure that you are subscribed so as soon as that episode comes out, you hear about it. And I just hope you have a great week. I hope you have a week where you are able to make some decisions about things that maybe have felt like they've been in limbo for a while. Because I don't want you to be stuck there for a while. Limbo is not fun to be stuck in for anybody, and you deserve to move forward with some options that feel good and aligned for you. So, have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.